Hello, everybody. It's amazing how many of you came here. So as it was told, my name is Agnieszka Jakobson-Cielecka. I'm Polish, and I'm a curator of the exhibition, which is behind you. You are in this exhibition, and we are here. And I would like to tell you about this exhibition, how it started, and also a bit about how the backstage of the production looks like, but also the backstage of how the concept was born. And to start this talk, I will use not my words, but the words of the Czech writer Karel Čapek, who in 30s of 20th century was traveling through Scandinavian and Baltic countries, and he wrote the beautiful diary from this trip. And I found this sentence which you see on the screen, which in fact illustrates what the whole exhibition is about. So in my case, it's about this part that then you marvel and waver in the double amazement that you are already seen it before. So it's the exhibition about feeling rooted and feeling connected to the places which I have never been before. And the result of this feeling you have here, but it started much later than I started to produce this exhibition. And a while ago, I did another exhibition, which was, the name of the exhibition was Materia Prima. And it was a concept of Polish design, because as a curator, I work a lot with the identities of design, and I did a lot of exhibitions about Polish design changes and Polish design DNA and or like pictures of the moment. And this concept was to connect the products with objects, the products with photographs. And the objects were made by Polish designers, and the photographs were by just one photographer. His name is Kacper Kowalski, and then he was the young, promising photographer. And until today, he won 3 World Press Photo. So we, let's say, grown up together. And he's paragliding. He takes photos from above. And what I wanted to show is to present my deep belief that as we say that the human is that we are what we eat. And I also believe that we are what we are looking at. So I mean by this that the views and the landscape, that the shapes, that everything we experience at the very early stage of our being, it's in unconscious way, influences our imagination and our visual sensitivity. So. And this exhibition was made just for a small gallery in Poland. And I think it was quite successful, because many people after seeing this exhibition were saying like it opened some channel in their minds to look differently, to see things differently. And because I know that today's meeting is about graphic design, so it's also how what was the presentation. So it was the postcards connected to this exhibition, but maybe it's also the better illustration of the concept than just the pictures from the exhibition. And it happened that with this exhibition, a few years later, we're invited to be present at Munkeruphus in Denmark. And when I bring this exhibition there, thinking that I'm a promoter of Polish original design thought, and I stand in this building, it's the Munkeruphus Gallery, which is right on the seashore, and I realize that I bring to Danes nothing new. because it's the landscape and the views are very the same what they are having there, which is not, because the thing which I didn't tell that Kacper is, he lives in Gdynia, so he's a seasider, so the pictures, all those pictures used here were made on Kashubian region, which is right, it's the lakes and the seaside in Poland. And then thinking about our Polish point of view and our, let's say, Central European point of view into Scandinavia, where we think very distant and we think that it's another world. And then I said, okay, it's strange that sea divides us instead of connecting, because definitely what we are sharing is a sea view. And all of us, we look at the same sea. So if we are seeing the same view, and if I believe that our surrounding, it's what shapes our sensitivity and our imagination. So that was the starting point for investigation I made for this exhibition you are seeing here today. So I took 8 countries which are connected by Baltic coastline. So starting from Latvia, it's Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, North Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, which is almost not seen on this map, and Estonia. And the only country which has a part of shore and it's not represented is Russia, because my possibilities to research design there were very limited. And, you know, then it sounds like a very good idea, but then there is a lot of hours and hours on sitting and researching and watching websites and visiting festivals. And even if I'm quite a long time in this business, being a curator of design festival in the past time and being a teacher and being a writer on design, it was really like a hard desk work to do the first selections, which are then, unfortunately, the scan is not very good quality, but just like collecting pictures and then making cutouts and combining them together and turning back and forth and grouping in a very different ways. And doing notes and contacting people. So then it became more clear, and here you have more or less the stage when the concept of the exhibition was close to what you are seeing now. But then there is a stage when I already know what I want to have. But, and also, which is very important, it was in 2016, in the first half of 2016, Poland has a presidency of the country's Baltic Sea Council. And so it created the opportunity to be a part of the competition organized by Polish Ministry of Culture, which supported this project, because also it wouldn't be possible. I can sit years under my desk and to collect objects, but without any support to produce it, it wouldn't happen. So we succeed together with the regional museum in Stalowa Wola to get support. And then the selection appeared, but then it's another part which is not, thanks God, it's not my part, it's the museum's part, where you can see just 2 of dozen of Excels, where if you see the same objects and the white table, it's just a white table. The grays are designers and objects which were not available because of different reasons. The blue ones are confirmed. The yellows are those who didn't answer at this moment, and you see dates on the top, so it was like 2 weeks or 3 weeks between one and another. And this work, it took half of a year, was going back and back and back, because if I was losing one object, then I had to go back to selection, because each single object doesn't make a huge sense. They make sense if they are together and if they are combined in the group. But then we successfully collected satisfying set of objects, and it's how the Roundabout Baltic exhibition was created. This venue which you are visiting here, it's the third one. So we started in June 2016 in Malmö in Form Design Center. Then after the whole summer we moved to Tallinn to Applied Art Museum, and where the exhibition was presented to the end of the year. And then we moved here when, so far, we found really the perfect venue and the perfect space for this exhibition. So I'm really happy about how it is here. But then to tell you a story, because it's the thing which I didn't touch more than just by quoting Čapek. This exhibition is like a very personal narration about my embodied experience and my feelings about objects and feelings about views and tactile values. So like a multisensorial feeling about seaside. So there is no ambition to be objective. However, I hope you can also see and share those inspirations. And these objects, when I was on the stage of analyzing, I tried to find the key for selection. Because if we think about countries, different economies, different situation of connection between designers and industry, different languages, different cultures, different ethnic groups, different religions, no similarities, but the sea view. So then the sea view became the real key for the exhibition. So I split objects into 6 groups, as you already saw it on the slides, and I called them chapters. So if you will see the catalog which was published, there were some bigger descriptions, and here along to each group you can see the very short story, how I read those objects. So the first stage is about this moment when we walk to the sea, through the forest, through the meadows. We meet architecture, we meet people's places where with some animals, some crafts, which are very the same and which are repeating and the objects which are repeating the rhythm of nature. Yeah, if we look at those weavings, which are all very traditional in all countries, and if you think, especially now when we have soil and snow, this black and whites and this rhythm are very, very alike. Then we walk past the dunes and rock overgrown with the austere yet persistent vegetation, and just as fine construction attached with flexible links. And if you think about it, nothing which is really solid cannot stay there. Yeah, because is it vegetation or is it construction, man-made construction? It has to be very fragile and flexible in the same time. Yeah, and those objects are here. And then we carry our belongings in baskets, splits, and mesh bags, which let, or we are catching fish, or we are bringing things in basket to to the seaside, they are very transparent, yeah, and they let sand and they let water go. And then wandering along the coast, we catch shapes formed by water, rocks bereft with sharpness, so everything is rounded. And what's very important for me, I think it's the behavior we all of us share, that we just collect things on the seaside, and they seems to be very precious, the beautiful stones and beautiful glasses and beautiful shells, and when we once bring them home, they are totally priceless, and we just throw them out, but then we go back to the seaside, and we do the same thing again. And then we also try to imagine, we go into the water, and we try to imagine the life underwater, which we know it's rounded, we know it's probably sleazy, it's cold, because the water is cold, and it's rounded because the water makes this rolling movement, which edits every shape. And then finally, we are looking at the horizon, which is never the same as sea. And this drama of colors which we experience are, I think, in no other place in the world than on the seaside. It's the same, and it also has, surprisingly, the representation in design. And here, one more word about the pictures you are looking at, because it was small complication in all this production, because everything is about seaside, but Regional Museum in Stalowa Wola is placed in the southeast Poland. Let's say 600, maybe 500 kilometers from the seaside. And it was no way to transport it. And we were looking for a location to do a shooting. And finally, we decided to do it in the collapsed steel mill, which is the traditional craft in this, not traditional, which is just a craft in this place. And those horizons were, again, some connection with the what I just had in mind. And then, coming back to Mr. Čapek, and coming back to his to this quote, when preparing publication, I came back to this very initial idea to connect the pictures with an objects, and to find this relation. And in this time, it was not really professional photo. It was not famous Polish photographer. It was just almost random photos taken by my iPhone and combined as an object. Thanks God, so it's I have a very good graphic designer working with me who was able to make this story in a visual way. So here are just a few spreads from the catalog. I think the catalog is available at the entrance to be seen. And yes, and that's the story about the exhibition and about ups and downs with this concept. The also thing which I realized at the end of the process, which is, I think, pretty important, that I don't know if it was told when I was when Inessa was talking about me, but my education is I studied painting, and that it happened that I started to work with design as a critic and curator, and suddenly I realized that I did the artistic project using design objects as a material to tell my story. And I think I feel quite happy about this. And yeah, and the last thing, it's the last quotation. It's about Snufkin wandering along with the only ways for company, and I think it's also the kind of experience which people living like we do and like I did know. It's a kind of behavior which is something different than just walk to the seaside, and that's it. So thank you very much. And it's great to be here.